What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing the political compass test. And it basically tells you if you're left, if you're right, if you're liberal, whatever. And yeah, it's basically just a massive insight into my philosophy. So if you're interested in me at all, or you're curious to know what I think of pretty much every single moral political argument, then watch this video. Let's get right into it. Few propositions to start with. How you see the country and the world. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests. Just gonna say strongly agree. I mean, I feel like anything that primarily serves humanity is beneficial than something that doesn't. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. Strongly disagree. This one again is not really up. I don't see how this could be up for debate. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Well, I think you can be proud of the achievements. I think you can be proud of the achievements that your your country has accomplished, but I don't think that just being born in a country warrants any sense of being proud. I don't know. I agree. I don't strongly agree. I think you could sway me over. Our race has superior quality. Oh, what's our race? Superior qualities. Man, yeah. Disagree. I don't think that there's anything that another country has which can't just be changed by, your environment. I don't know for certain whether other races are more intelligent that I mean, I could understand that perhaps Chinese people on average are smarter or perhaps Norwegian people are taller. But to argue whether that's superior, I mean, define superior, right? Things that benefit. I don't know. I'm gonna click strongly disagree. Perhaps I'm just playing it safe for the video, but I don't think that I'm not better than anyone else. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree. Um, North Korea is enemies with Israel. I don't support North Korea. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I can't think of any examples, right? The only examples I can think of would be Israel and America going against international law, and I don't justify that. So I'm gonna just, again, disagree. The international law is likely there for a reason to prevent people from committing war crimes and acts of atrocities. There's now worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I agree. I think things are being dumbed down in forms of shit like TikTok, TikTok people capitalize off information being entertaining and they turn serious things into things that like can sort of be, profited off of, and same with, crime documentaries and things. I think I'm not going to strongly agree because I still think that it's still raising awareness, but I just want to copy this question into Google and just sort of see what it says. Serious journalism and dramatic storytelling, yeah. Mixing facts with fun, yeah. So I certainly think that that's present. Um, yeah. Anyway. Page 2 of 6 is on it. Wow. Okay, there's quite a lot of questions on this page. Okay. What do we have here? People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I'm gonna click agree because I think religion is also a huge component in division. Um, yes. If we look at all the wars that are caused by religion, it's undeniable that class isn't the only thing which is present. Obviously, rich versus poor is massive, but it seems to me people are more divided, or in fact, I need to reassess this question really, because I think we are divided more by class, but I don't think that's what people realize. People are more divided by political ideologies, gender, and religion. But I think objectively we are more divided by class, yes. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Don't ask me questions about the economy, man, because I'm not going to be able to answer it. Well, obviously, we would want it so that our money is still worth something. Ah, fuck, I don't know with this one. What does the internet have to say? What does the internet have to say? Um, protects money value. I suppose this would be a capitalist argument, right? Because you could say, well, if everybody was working and money didn't mean anything, you'd find another way. It's kind of a, yeah, it is a capitalist argument. And I'm not disagreeing for the sake of it, but I'm just saying that if everybody was working, I mean, what does Reddit have to say? If everybody was working, um, gosh, I'm trying to find like a brief summary. Yeah, not a lot of people say much. My interpretation of it is like in socialism or communism, money is non existent, or it is, or it's, oh no, yeah, in socialism, it's not. And therefore, people work to just help others. But again, I suck when it comes to economics. And that seems to be what this whole fucking page is about. So this is probably going to be a boring one, but the next page I can guarantee you will probably be interesting. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Yes, absolutely. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is fundamentally a good idea. I believe this is another communist argument, if I am correct. Karl Marx, yes. Marxism, right, okay. A philosophical idea. It appeals to our best instincts for mutual aid. Everyone gives what they can. No one is left without vital health. Yeah, the practical concerns is incentives. Yeah. I will click agree, but I think it's very debatable. Um, the freer the market, the freer the people. Disagree. People say we have a free market now, but not everyone has access to actually get into it. I mean, a single mother who has to raise two children, like, it's just, it isn't possible for everybody to run a business. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled branded consumer product. Absolutely agree. I mean, we're trying to find monetization everywhere because people are greedy. Absolutely agree, though. I mean, one could say they're just profiting off of, but then again, profiting off of what? I mean, I don't know. I do agree. I think the fact that we have to have ads on water, which is a basic human necessity, is a very dystopian type of thing. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I disagree. I think that private property is important. Private property is important. Um, and giving people the right to do whatever the fuck they want on a piece of land, I think is a good thing. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. 100%. People just rot the system and get money, 100%. If everybody benefited someone in some way, like we live in a better society. Instead, you have people making a fuck ton off Bitcoin, just doing nothing. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Not particularly sure what protectionism is. I don't know shit about economics. I didn't study economics. Protectionism restricts international trade using tariffs, quotas, while mainstream economics favor free trade. Many agree that limited protection is sometimes necessary for national security. National security, countries must secure unfair trade practices, main drawbacks, higher prices. Yeah, okay. And what was the question? Sometimes necessary. I'll just click agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Yeah, just fuck off. Shareholders. When the world gets nuked and we're rebuilding from the ashes, but we don't have any shareholders to help. Like, shareholders are just the most useless fucking thing. The rich are too highly taxed. Disagree. In fact, I'm gonna say strongly disagree. I mean, what are we talking about rich? Billionaires? Because billionaires could give 99% of their money away and still never have to work a day in their life. And that's even if we're not looking at net worth, right? I mean, net worth is not physical money. Elon Musk is the first trillionaire. Obviously, he doesn't have $1 trillion in liquid cash, but he certainly has enough where if he just stopped working, he wouldn't have to do anything for the rest of his life. Those with the ability to pay should have high access to higher standards of medical care. Now, this is funny because my parents have private healthcare that I directly benefit from. And I don't think that the public healthcare system is good whatsoever because you could be on a waiting list. In fact, I know an elderly lady who was on the waiting list for the longest time and basically had to suffer with her illness. And I think she succumbed to it because of that. So I disagree. I disagree. But then again, it just comes back to that incentive argument of why would anyone want to specialize in you know medical areas and qualifications if they're not getting paid more? And I think it's objectively harder work than cleaning, and they feel like they would want something more from it. So I'm gonna click disagree. Not strongly disagree. Governments should penalize and guys, and feel free to debate me in the comments. Like you might be able to convince me if you have a great argument. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Yes. I mean, some of these questions are like, should evil corporations exist? No. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predatorial. Yep, strongly agree. Example, this would just be buying a company out and then erasing it. Buying patents and then throwing them in the bin. Personal social values. This one's going to be interesting. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. When the woman's life is not threatened, right? So it's basically just saying elective abortions. Is it an elective? What does that mean? Okay, yes, elective abortions. I don't think they should be illegal, but they should be frowned upon. Like, I'm a spiritual guy, man. I'm a spiritual guy. It's kind of like pleading to God. It's like, how do you argue with someone who believes in God, But for me, I do think it's a little bit sad when your own, irresponsibility or ignorance leads to the loss of potential life. But I'm never gonna say that. Um, oh wait, when a woman should always be. Yeah, so I don't think it should be illegal, but I feel bad about it. Like it doesn't sit right with me. Obviously, I don't have a say in anything, but it should be something I think that should be avoided. Even if you disagree, like from a what's the word, from a bodily autonomy perspective, you could at least say that, elective abortions are just a strain on hospital resources and they take up things that could be going elsewhere. And if you're getting like one a year, or well, I don't know how they fucking work, but if you've had like four, then there's a likelihood that you're just doing the same shit over and you're not learning, and that requires resources every time that happens, when you could just be wearing contraceptives. I mean, can you really make a strong argument for doing it raw? Like, just put a fucking condom on, or take birth control. I guess you could say, even then, you could say, well, birth control is bad for you because it is, and condoms don't always have 100% prevention rate. So in that case, yeah, I'm gonna have to say disagree, because you can still have a pregnancy that's unplanned where it's not medically necessary, and I would agree that it would be justified in aborting that child if you don't have the funds to support it. So I'm gonna click disagree. It's hard because they don't have, it should always be illegal. So if I'm clicking disagree, should it sometimes be? It's a really, really weirdly worded question. All authority should be questioned. Yep. Yes, absolutely. I don't see why not. I don't see why you wouldn't question authority. If you're not questioning authority, you're essentially just submitting blindly to someone who could just lead you off a fucking cliff. Like, I don't see. Who the fuck would pick strongly disagree? No, no. Whatever they do, whatever they say, we do. Like, it's just, they have our best interest for, that they're in it for our best interest. Like, just, it's just, no, it's just not the case, my friend, Yes, all authority should be questioned. Now, where do we draw a line at being questioned? Does it, I think you should certainly consider, if they have your best interest um, in mind, but I don't think it warrants a freaking Candace Owens conspiracy theory level investigation into every single thing, right? Obviously, if your parents tell you, and I guess this could be an argument, obviously, if your parents tell you to clean your teeth because they will protect them, it's likely that, like, what's the point in questioning that, So I'm gonna click agree, because I think sometimes common sense. Ooh, fuck. Nah, I'm gonna stay on strongly agree. I think it's better to do it and have it be unnecessary than not do it and end up in some fucked place. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, absolutely. That basically just means that your punishment is equivalent to the crime that you commit. So if, you murder someone, you get killed. If you assault somebody, you'd get, I mean, I don't know how they work that out, but I agree 100%. I think that we don't punish people enough. And then again, it's like, well, you could make an argument for rehabilitation, right? If you rob somebody, it's like, well, perhaps they needed it. So in that case, I'm going to have to say, but is that an argument for this? I don't know. I'm going to say agree. I'm going to just stay on strongly agree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theatres or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. If I click disagree, it means they should be expected to prop them up even if they can't survive on it. I'm gonna click that and I want to just search this up. I think that like art is important. Tax money should go to essential needs like health, safety, and schools instead of entertainment. Yeah, public goods. Yeah, I think that they're necessary. I think that even though they're not necessary, like they are still very important, right? If you've seen the movie Equilibrium, it's just about a world where there's no art, and it's a very depressing place. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Oh God, this is a big one, man. It's a really fucking big one that has probably convincing arguments on both sides. Institutionalizing people, some would say, just sending them off to a place where they don't benefit. On the alternative, then if there wasn't a, requirement for kids to go to school, there'd be a lot of kids at home just doing nothing, um, likely not learning anything without any, prompting or any nudging to do so. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I agree because I think a lot of kids at school don't want to be there and would rather do other things. And I think that school only serves to limit creative thinking. Are you coming to the tree? So yeah, I'm gonna hit agree on that. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Let me look up this. I'm not quite sure what it means. Contradicts the core principle of universal human rights, stops equality, breaks universal rights, builds fear, um, builds fairness, grows strength, creates peace. What does Quora have to say about this? Okay, so it's just talking about mixing, right? It's talking about racial mixing. Some people will make an argument that some societies are genuinely just better off when it's just them, without immigration and things. There needs to be a neutral. There needs to be a neutral. Like, people are gonna call me racist. I don't have a problem with anybody, but I feel like objectively, as a society, groups have always typically stuck together, and I feel like immigration is a very first world thing in a way, in a sense that, you know 1300 years ago, or in fucking 20,000 BC, there were not communities established that said we're lacking diversity. Like, they did their own thing. um but I guess what it's saying is that they shouldn't. They is saying they should keep to their own kind, and I disagree that they should stay with their own kind. The question is not, is it beneficial? Even then, I don't have an answer for that. It's should they avoid other people? And I guess I have to say no, they shouldn't. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. This is just disagree. If you can't effectively communicate to your child that something they're doing is wrong, or have an intelligent conversation with them without forcing harm, then where do we draw the line, right? Because this technique is just a slippery slope, I feel. It's like, okay, so if you slap them on the butt cheek, they'll listen to you, right? But if they get older and they don't listen to you when you do that anymore, then does that mean you get to punch them in the arm? And then if that works, is that like, where do you draw the line? Not only just as parents, but agreeing to this would basically say that you think that violence is acceptable to enforce behavior, which would sort of be like a fascist or authoritarian sort of, or it'd be like a dictatorship, I feel like. Maybe I've got those words wrong. But it wouldn't be good. I don't think violence is necessary to teach people lessons, and you just suck as a parent if you can't convince your kid not to do something without hitting them. It is natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Okay, I was very strongly inclined to just hit strongly agree off the rip. Like, I was very inclined to just go bang, strongly agree. But then you have to ask yourself why. Why do children want to keep secrets? Did they used to keep secrets? Is it because of fear? Is it because of they're scared to be judged? Is it because I'm interested to see what online has to say about this. Um, paste. Um, um, yeah, I guess I'm reading a little bit too much into these. I'm reading too much into these questions. They're not interested in the why. It just is yes. It is natural. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I agree because I personally don't think that. I think that as long as you're benefiting society, then the things that you. Okay, the things that you do in your own home argument is not a great argument because you could just do despicable shit in your own home, and as long as you get away with it's considered fine. So I'm not going to go down that route, but I will say that it's not harmful for anybody else, and if something isn't harmful for somebody else, I think that generally it should be accepted. Smoking weed in your backyard and just having a doze or whatever the fuck is not warranted enough to make it illegal. And if you say it is, well, I don't see how it's any different than drinking alcohol, because anything you say about weed pretty much applies for alcohol, aside from maybe schizophrenia. I don't know if alcohol can induce schizophrenia or psychosis, but it certainly can instigate domestic violence. It certainly can instigate depression and suicide and anger. Some people would even say alcohol is worse than marijuana. And then the only rebuttal to those claims would be is that you have to be responsible. When you drink, you're responsible when you drink. Why should it not be any different than being responsible for marijuana, right? People will say weed is a gateway drug because then you try other drugs, but that's not the argument here, right? If you try other drugs, then that's on you, and you could say, all right, well, people might do stupid shit with it. My sister makes the argument that, oh, people getting into trouble on weed are a strain on the healthcare system. But, I mean, how many fucking kids are showing up in the ER because they have alcohol poisoning? Every fucking weekend, someone's drinking too much and they have to have their stomach pumped or else they'll die. So, again, it's just, you can't be anti-weed and not anti-alcohol. So you're either none or you're both. under the premise that you do it responsibly. And that's why I think that owning weed for personal use should not be a criminal offense because it's harmless as long as you do it responsibly, just like anything else. You do it responsibly and and it's fine. Well, I say anything else. A majority of things that don't cause harm. Watching a movie at home, do it responsibly. That's kind of a shit analogy, but you get my point. The prime function of schooling should be equip the future generation to find jobs. Disagree. The prime function of schooling should be to teach children things. It should be to teach children things so that they can correctly decide where they want to go in their life. I think it's kind of difficult though because not every job can have an unlimited amount of things, or unlimited vacancies, right? There's gonna have to be people that do shit jobs despite wanting to do other stuff. It's just the way the world works. But I don't think that anyone should be going to school just to learn to do so. I like learn to be in somewhere else. Like it should be to teach you how to read, teach you how to write, teach you about history and other shit, and yeah, evoke creative thinking. People with serious. Oh, fucking hell, this one's a fucking big question, isn't it? People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. So this is just a eugenics question. This one's gonna split some fucking heads. This one's gonna seriously ruffle some feathers, man. Human rights, preventing suffering, yeah, resource burden. Um, Disagree. Measures allows for forced sterilization based on the prejudice of times. Disagree. Many inheritable diseases are not guaranteed to show up in the offspring. I don't think the government should be able to say. Disagree. Every attempt on eugenics has failed and only resulted in a pointless loss of life. This guy said yes, obviously, and was downvoted 3 times without anybody responding to him. Quora. What do the comments say? I completely agree. I don't really care. So I'm willing to allow this to happen. I must side with the not allowing mentally challenged people to reproduce. Okay, I'm gonna give you my honest answer on this. I hate suffering, right? And I guess the only issue is, well, what do we define as serious? And where do we draw the line at inheritable? Because if it's a 1% chance, are you gonna seriously say to that person? But on this, at the same time, children cannot consent to being born. And no one would want to be born with a serious inheritable disability. I mean, there's plenty of them that go on to live great lives. And I say kudos to them. But I seriously do believe that if this was the case, and it was proven that by stopping this you would stop, I'm kind of inclined to agree. I am. I'm kind of inclined to agree. You can debate me on this in the comments. This one's probably going to be the most controversial pick out of the whole thing. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Ooh. Hmm. Yo, mom. What's up? Good night. Love you. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Discipline. Define this. Self-control. 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 Can you get the dog?
Yeah, just let her out. Let her wait first.
I'll get her then. Good night. Oh, fuck. I don't really know where I sit on this one. Discipline. What the fuck is discipline? Yeah. Okay. Accepting this. Okay, let me just copy this in and see what it says. I don't understand it too much. I disagree. I don't think it's the most important thing, but I think you should be learning a level of self-control so that you're not just fucking doing whatever the fuck. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. This is a tough one as well because objectively you'd say yes. Like, morality is there's no objective morality, but we live in a world where like people can sort of agree on things. It's like a collective morality, right? And some people would say that there's a tribe in Papua New Guinea where in order to become a man, you have to ingest semen from the elders. It's a very difficult thing to say that isn't, or that is civilized. I have to disagree with this. It's hard because there's no neutral. There's no neutral thing. It's either you agree or you disagree. There are only different cultures. Some cultures, North Sentinel Island, they will throw a spear at you. And you could say, well, they're just doing this. They're just... Debate me on this one in the comments as well. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support 100%. Why would anyone be expected to support you if you can work and you don't want to? Right? Find your own way of managing. It's not how we work. Either nobody works or we all work and we all support each other, This is just stupid. Should I support lazy people? Like, what does Google have to say about this? Why the fuck would anybody... Arguments for withholding support. Fairness. What does this guy say? Able to work with following individuals. Those who receive welfare, yeah. It still means that you can support disabled individuals. It still means you can support people that are looking for work. And I don't see, like, what. It would just cause chaos if some cunt was sitting at home doing fuck all, getting money. There's people in our society that do that. And I guess what do you define as able to work, right? Who draws the line? Who makes the rules for who's able to work or not? How do we determine that? When you are troubled, it's better to not think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I disagree because I think that thinking about it, depending on, it's contextual. Thinking about it is good because depending on what the problem is, allows you to actually assess the situation. But if it's something out of your control or you can't do anything about, then yes, it is better to just keep busy by doing fun things. And if it's something that you can control and you're keeping yourself busy by doing cheerful things, then those cheerful things only serve as a distraction from what needs to be done. So I disagree. I think it's always good to think about things first. First generation immigrants can never be fully. Oh my god. Mom! I'm just gonna call her. She does this every night. She lets the dog out every night. It barks, it wakes up the neighbor's baby. Okay. W mom for getting the dog. First generation immigrant. What the fuck is a first? Am I really that stupid? What's a first generation immigrant? A person who was born in one country and moved to live in a new country. What the fuck? Am I dumb? Third. Okay. First generation born abroad. No, I disagree. You could be born somewhere else and integrate. There's no reason why you can't. You learn to speak the language and that's it. You've pretty much fucking done it. What's good for most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Fuck off. What's good for most successful corporations is just making more money. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Okay, that's like SBS and shit in Australia. SBS is an independent journalism. Public funding. Then disagreeing would say they should. I think they should receive public funding. I think. Taxpayer support links media survival to the state. Market fairness, competing against state-backed outlets disadvantages private. Citizens should not fund programming. Yeah. Media pluralism. Public funds support diverse education and equitable. Guarantees free or low-cost access. Removing reliance on advertising or rich owners helps protect day-to-day. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree. I think they should. I think that's what that question means. Page 4 of 6. Okay, we still got a little bit to go. It's going to be a long video. And how I see wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counter-terrorism. I don't understand this question very well. How is often risk encroaching on fundamental... Well, what are some... Oh, okay. Surveillance and privacy, control and detention, freedom of speech, executive over. Okay, I understand. Yeah, absolutely agree. There's fucking surveillance cameras everywhere. We're literally like on our way to living in a fucking Orwellian state. 1984, you know. Cameras everywhere you go, everywhere in the phones, you know, TV's listening to you and shit. I mean, you know, a TV listening to you isn't because of counterterrorism, but we're in an era where to prevent crime, other people's freedoms are being infringed upon, what you can say. Yeah, a significant advantage of a one party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in democratic political systems. What? It avoids all the arguments that delay progress. I don't think the arguments are delaying progress. One party state is basically just like a fucking. Um. What does Reddit have to say about this? Yeah, an echo chamber. Things just become an echo chamber, and all it takes is one nut job to get in, and then you're fucked. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Yeah, disagree. This is what I was talking about earlier with surveillance. Um, Companies just want to collect data and information, and we are eventually going to become information. And official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Yeah, I disagree, man. And again, it's like, well, what do you define as a wrongdoer, right? Somebody gets in and decides that there should be 10 p.m. curfew and you're outside. Well, if they deem it as wrong, you're fucked, you know? So I disagree. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I agree. We shouldn't be killing people for stealing. Um, and I guess if I don't, yeah, I guess I strongly agree. What do you define as a serious crime, though? Um, in a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Oh, God. That's a difficult one, too. Mom! Okay, never mind. One must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I kind of agree. I kind of agree because a lot of people are genuinely just fucking stupid, right? Um, and without someone telling them what to do, I think a lot of people wouldn't have any incentive to be good. On the other hand, you could say that human nature kind of stops that, but it's kind of utopian of me to believe that if there weren't any people in charge, we'd all just be on our best behavior. Like, we don't live in that type of society, you know? And I don't want, like, crazy leaders at the top, but we need, I mean, the wording above and below, obeying what people say. I disagree. I'd rather be wrong and disagree than be. I'd rather be right and disagree than. No, I don't fucking know. It's a hard question. What do people have to say about this? What do people have to say about this? All of these are just moral arguments, you know? Social order, yeah. Abuse of power and accountability, yeah. I do think that it does provide order, so I'm going to agree. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Disagree. It's just another form of art. Art is open for interpretation. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I disagree. A lot of crimes, you know, aren't major enough to warrant like permanent punishment. I think some crimes absolutely warrant just some kind could certainly some people and criminals could certainly be rehabilitated. It's a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. Strongly agree. Mass murderers, don't even bother rehabilitating Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, etc. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Disagree. Uh, Disagree. Someone does have to distribute things. Writing an art is nice, but it's not going to help the world, get around. I mean, I rely more on business people and manufacturers in my day-to-day life than the writer and the artist. So technically, by that logic, I have to agree. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. This is another controversial one. Who am I to say what they should be doing, right? Who am I to say what they should be doing? I'm nobody. If you want to work, then work. There's no objective. I crap on about objective. There's no objective rule that says they should stay at home. Maybe they are better at being at home, but that doesn't mean that they should be. It doesn't mean that their first duty is nothing. There is no, so almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to our efforts to curb global warming. I strongly agree. Heed. Well, what does heed mean? Yes, we should certainly pay close attention to the fact that economic growth is the primary reason for contributing to global warming. Yes, absolutely. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Disagree. Strongly disagree. I don't think being mature means accepting the way things are. Okay, we got 2 more pages to go. How long into the video are we? We're almost at an hour. Gee whiz, looking like Slideshow Bob over here. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. I mean, what the fuck are we saying? Astrology is just confirmation bias, right? It's such vague fucking it's such vague fucking shit. Like, it's like you go to a fortune teller, their whole spiel is about saying vague statements that just could be applied to anything. Like, oh, you've had a bad thing happen in the past, but you worked out a way to get over it. Like, just fuck off. It doesn't explain shit. You cannot be moral without being religious. Fuck. I mean, there is no objective morality, but I do think that I mean, morals are a social is a social is a society. What's the word for it? A something norm, a social construct. Morals are a social construct. Instincts are different, and I think that we have, through evolution, learnt that killing each other is not of benefit. Most people typically avoid harm. So I'm gonna hit disagree. In fact, people like before religions, people still had a sense of morality. Um, it was just like innate. It was just how they felt. It was probably agreed upon that people felt bad about. Well, I'm moral without religions, but am I moral because I've been raised by people that have religions? I don't know, but I'm gonna click strongly disagree. I think without the influence of religion, you could still be a good person. This is actually a very hard question. It's much harder than it seems. Regularly show empathy. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, the human condition. I think that's what I'm talking about. Perhaps I'm overlooking it too much, but I do think that generally, like, you can still be a good person without religion, right? In fact, if you're only a good person because of religion, then I would say that you're a bad person. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Not too sure about this. Charity is just giving away social security. In fact, I'd actually agree. I think that if anything, you could say charity gives you assurance that where the things that you are giving are going, or it gives you confirmation that the things you're giving away are going to the right people. But then you could say social security just, impacts so many more. You could argue that some people might just steal the shit from charity. So I would say disagree. I think social security probably does help people more. Some people are naturally unlucky. Disagree, strongly disagree. Unlucky is just a social construct. This is a social construct is kind of a lazy thing. Um, but this is sort of an argument for determinism, right? If you say strongly disagree, you're saying that everything that happens to a quote unquote unlucky person was always gonna happen, and that's just the way life is. Um, luck or not. It'll be interesting to see what the internet says. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not as if. Yeah, I mean, luck is subjective, and yeah, I don't think that's possible. Is it important that my child's? It is important that my child's schools instills religious values. Absolutely not. Um, absolutely not. Religion should be something that you go towards and not something that should be forced upon you. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Disagree. Do I agree with it? Is it immoral? No, it's not immoral. It's harmless. So why would it be immoral? I'm kind of hold a harm premise where if things aren't harmful, then usually I let them go. So no, I don't think it's immoral at all. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. This just comes down to an argument of how important do you think a mother and a father are and the dynamic that they have on a child. I disagree. Oh, I agree. Should not be excluded. I think there's plenty of gay people that can raise a child. It comes down to where you two stand, right? You know, if you think you're capable and you find out you're not, well, it's a serious commitment, right? It's, how important is a mother and how important is a father in a child's life, right? And can that be met? Can that dynamic be met with the same variables in a same-sex relationship? Possibly, which is why I say agree. I don't think there should be. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult. Yeah, I'm the most anti-porn cunt out. Anti-porn. I'm literally like, porn is the devil. This shit is just so bad. This shit is genuinely just so evil and it just corrupts society. There'd be arguments for it that say, oh, helps people live out sexual fantasies and it stops sexual frustration. No, I actually think it contributes to that because you're putting images into people's minds for them to crave, and then they crave it. It's like if I gave you an apple and then took the apple away from you and you really like the apple, you're gonna want to get more of the apple than had you never had an apple at all. This shit is horrible and it is of no benefit at all. There's not a single one I can think of. Like, if you want to release your sexual frustration, just jerk off to nothing. Porn's evil. It's fucking evil. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Disagree, because you can still be doing illegal shit in your bedroom. Between two consenting adults. Does that mean, what does that entail? What if they're building a bomb? Disagree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Let me think about that for a sec. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Disagree. The same way I'm naturally straight, a motherfucker could feel naturally gay, right? No one ever had to teach me to be straight. I was just born straight. I was just naturally straight. You just know. I knew I liked girls. Like, from the minute I even thought about a girl, I was like, yeah, I like girls. I like women. And I'm sure it's the same for gay people, so no one can feel naturally. I disagree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Absolutely agree. I don't want to log on to TikTok and see a motherfucker talking about how good being in a full Nelson felt. I don't need to know that. It's weird. People have sex, that's normal. But, like, why are you telling me, like, in so much detail, so comfortably, like, just, I'm sure there'd be an argument for it, and I'm willing to hear it. Let's see where I stand. Okay. We are here. We are left libertarian. Nothing's changed, man. Nothing. Oh, fuck, I just dropped my phone. Left libertarian. Economic scale, yeah. And then what? Social scale. Right, libertarian. Interesting. I okay, I'm here, and I know that, but it doesn't really tell me a lot about my views, right? Libertarian left. Um, okay, so we got some stuff here. Economic scale. The starting point of the original political compass and inadequacy of the Senate political measure, it is certainly fine for discussing politics, but to this day it's still widely and wrongly used to describe social attitudes. Okay. The more nationalistic and authoritarian a party or individual is, the more right-wing they're still labelled. Taken to its logical conclusion, it means that the further left a country sits, the more socially liberal its attitudes are. On that basis, North Korea must be a shining model of human rights and social freedoms. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see. So they're just pointing out the flaws in a standard left versus right, okay? Instead of it goes up and down too. Because, using North Korea as an example, yeah, okay. Conversely, a country may be very right wing in its economics and be authoritarian at the same time. Produced by the ultra conservative, how Singapore as one of the most economically freest nations on earth. However, it's a very different story. This is a deeply authoritarian state. North Korea. China is in the middle. So what is this? State-imposed collectivism, voluntary regional collectivism. So states sort of telling you what to do. Okay. So at the top, yeah, well, interesting. Social scale, economic scale, very left. The strong emergence of authoritarian nationalist parties in a number of democracies. The mix of economic freedom while maintaining a high level of social freedoms. The same is true of New Zealand and some of the traditional social democratic Nordic states. A personalized political compass certificate now showing your own position is available online. I guess I had to find some way to commercialize this. Okay, so how do I um claim your, there was a way that I could see like who held my show in a separate window for printing. So it did used to tell you who, it did used to tell you like who had your same beliefs. In fact, what I could do, I guess, is just save this image, right? And then if we just go on to ChatGPT, go on to ChatGPT, submit the image. Oh god, okay, guys. Desktop. What was that shit called? What was that shit called, guys? I fucking forgot. The political compass. AHIJKQS. Oh, I didn't save the image. I saved the fucking. Okay. I don't know how I get the thing up. They used to show you like who. Um. Okay, here we go. I think this might tell me. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. This document certifies that Cooper inhabits the left libertarian quadrant of the political compass. Fuck, I thought that was Friedrich Nietzsche. Xi Jinping. Okay, here we go. AOC. Wow. How the fuck do you get down here, man? I don't know how you get down here. Jesus. Bernie Sanders is here. So these guys know a little bit more about economics than me. But like my homie Zoran Mamdani, you know, like we're aligned basically almost the same. What else do we have? Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer. These guys are more okay. And then Donald Trump is at the top right. Jesus Christ, man. Bibi Netanyahu, bro. Bang, top right. Jesus. I don't understand how you even get here. JD Vance, Nigel Farage. On the left, we got a lot of dictators. Authorian, and yeah, so it's like socialist but authoritarian. Xi Jinping, Kim Jong Un. Wow, this is very interesting. Okay, guys, well, there you have it. I'm gonna email this to myself if I can. How the fuck do I email shit, guys? Okay. Share. Save as. Print. I'm not getting a save as option, and I'm not sure where this is going, so... Oh, I've already downloaded it. Okay, that's fine. Skip. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'm sure you probably learned a lot about me by doing so. And if you disagree with anything that I've said, please feel free to comment down below. You may likely change my mind depending on, well, okay. Majority of these things, like, I believe I've come to my own conclusions. I suck at economics, but other stuff, like, talk to me about it. I mean, all of it. Educate me if you feel. Let me know how you feel down below. I'm always happy to debate. And I'll see you next time. Peace out. 1 hour 13. Wow. Oh my God.